Good morning, students. Today we are continuing the fourth chapter, third topic, that is grievances in organization. What exactly the meaning of grievances? So, a grievance is a sign of employees' discontentment. Discontentment in the sense dissatisfaction. It may be with his job or the nature of the job, or it may be every employee when he takes up employment, he might be having certain expectations while accepting the agreement. When the organization fails to meet his expectations, then it will lead to his discontentment. Today, we are going to cover uh, the contents of this topic are the concept of grievance, the definition, then we are going to check the characteristics, which means the features, then usually what would be the causes for grievance, then if there is a grievance, what is the procedure to resolve that grievance, then we are covering the mechanism, right? Now, we are moving to the definition. As we have discussed earlier, grievance may be discontentment or dissatisfaction. So, generally, if there is a dispute between the employer and employer, it may be specific manner or it may be particular microscopic, but still, if the about the interpretation and application of the collective agreement is called as a grievance. So here, when the employee enters into employment agreement, if the terms and conditions are not obliged or not followed by the employer, it may lead to his dissatisfaction. There it arises grievance. So it is a feeling of injustice and it should be in connection with his employment situation and which should be brought to the attention of the management. So here, if there is a grievance, then what happens? It will affect the organizational relations and it will decrease the productivity ratio of the employee. So to avoid this, employer all the time, the organization has to have a broader mindset to resolve the grievance in the at the time of occurrence itself. So let us see Michael Jusius definition. Any discomfort or dissatisfaction, whether expressed or not, valid or not, arising out of anything connected with the company which as employee thinks, believes or even feels to be unfair, unjust or inequitable is called as grievance. So with Michael Jusius definition, we can understand grievance may be a discontentment and dissatisfaction, but it must and should arise out of his own employment. Here, why we are saying his own employment, suppose if he has any personal problems, any family issues, any health issues, these are not called as grievances. It must and should have a relation and connection with the employment or with the organization or with his working conditions or with his emoluments, incentives, promotions, then only it will be called as grievance. So here it may arise out of real reasons or imaginary reasons. So this also we can call it as factual reasons or imaginary reasons. Generally, there will be clear-cut terms and conditions in the employment contract with respect to, say, for example, basic pay or increment or promotion or transfer. After 3 years, if there is a mention about promotion policy is after consistent work range of 3 years, he should get a promotion. If he doesn't get, this is called as a real grievance. Imaginary grievance means here the when the employee feels aggrieved or if he is not given proper recognition, even though despite his amount of work, if he is not given proper position, proper recognition or proper appreciation, we can say, then such kind of grievance comes out of imaginary reasons. It may be factual or it may be imaginary or it may be disguised grievance. Disguised grievance means every employee expects a minimum working environment in the organization. Say, for example, if the working conditions are to be not up to the mark, or if they are not providing sufficient room for him to perform his job productively, then it is also maybe a reason for grievance. So and one more feature of the grievance is it may be voiced or unvoiced needs, and which may be, but they should be expressed and resolved. Then only such grievance can be completely ruled out in the organization. So what is the meaning of voiced needs? So here, suppose if the employee has some requirement, if he informs his employer that is, and if it is not met, then it is called voiced need, but which is not resolved. So here, then similarly, perceived, some kind of grievances may be perceived as non-fulfillment of expectations from the organization. What do you mean by non-fulfillment of expectations from the organization? As we have discussed earlier, we could, in nutshell, we can say the grievances may be factual or imaginary or disguised. So here, factual means the which depends upon the job contract and agreement. And second one, imaginary means which indicate the norms defining the limits, and the employee expect the organization has to do more justice to him, and if it is not doing such, then it is called as disguise imaginary grievance. Disguised grievance is here when there is a need for recognition, power or authority. If it is not provided to him, it is called disguised grievance, right? Now we are moving to the third concept, third content of this uh, grievance is causes of grievance. So in normal general life, we all know that what would be the causes of grievances, as we have discussed earlier, features, you could have understood. Basically, the grievances may be three types. One is with organization, or grievances with respect to the organization, or grievance with respect to economic grievances, economic in the sense with respect to incentives, promotion, individual wage adjustment, and personality traits. Personality traits means here the attitude or the aptitude towards the employees, or the gestures of the superior or subordinate or colleagues also would cause for certain kind of dissatisfaction. So now we are moving to each and every cause of grievance. Concerning working conditions, already we discussed management policies and practices. If there is a gap between policy and implementation, that also will amount to a dissatisfaction. Then next one, violation of rules and regulations. So here, even though they have made some promises, if they are not following the rules which are set up by any kind of, say for example, any state government or central government or any other institutions where they have to abide certain regulations, and if they are violated, that also would lead for a big dissatisfaction. The next one, individual wage adjustment. It means here based upon the uh, personal wise, each and every person wise, if the wages are adjusted, if there is no uniformity in wage allotment, that also would lead for grievance. Then, as I have talked about incentives and promotion, that also one of the reason. Then another cause is improper job assignments. Sometimes we could observe in some organizations, the job assignments would be given to the person who is not capable, for an incapable person. So here, similarly, if the capable person or the capable employee, if he is neglected, or if any nepotism is followed in the organization, it also leads for grievance. And similarly, objection to general methods of supervision. So here, if in the case of superior, if he is denied from supervising any organization, that also would amount for grievance. Then next one, leaves, safety and security of working environment. So security, job security, we can say, if there is any kind of retirement benefits or any gratitude, or if it is not provided, that also would lead for certain grievance. And similarly, security of working environment. So here, if there is no guarantee of longevity in the job or continuity in the job, then it would also cause for dissatisfaction. Similarly, leaves, and leaves important policy in every kind of organization. So here, that also would lead for, if there is improper allocation of leaves or cancellation of leaves, or leave pay is not paid, or on while taking leave, if the amount, if for leave policy is very rigid, that also would offer that also would cause for grievance. Now we are moving to the next. If there are grievance, then what is the procedure for resolving that grievance? So what is the mechanism? And we are going to see the procedure will be observed by the employee. Let us see first grievance procedure. So every organization should have a open door policy. What is the meaning of open door policy? They have to accept every kind of the grievance should not be treated as a complaint. It should be treated as an injustice, and they have to have an ear to hear every person. Then after taking up the grievance, then they have to identify the real problem. Then they have to make an effort to collect the facts and facts about the problem, where it has started, and root cause. They have actual or imaginary or disguised grievance, they have to categorize. Then they need to analyze the causes, whether the grievance is a real grievance or not. They have to observe. To for that, they require to analyze the various causes for the grievance. So the causes, how was the case handled in a such a way, whether the incident is close to the sense of dissatisfaction, or if it is a remote cause, they have to verify whether there is a, then based on that they need to take the decision. So whether the decision would have a direct impact on the satisfaction of the employee or not, they have to observe and verify. Then they need to take the decision. After taking the decision, they need to implement the decision. So once the decision is implemented, then they need to recall the employee, and they need to review the decision, and based on that they have to again rework on the grievance. This, so we can understand the 5 steps in the grievance procedure, 6 steps in the grievance procedure. So they should accept, identify, and collect the facts, and analyze the causes of grievance. Then they need to take the decision, and they have to implement the decision, and they need to review the decision. Now we are going to check with the grievance redressal mechanism. In the previous slide, what you have understood? You have understood